So the game I'm playing today is called Aether. This is a 2D physics-based puzzle platformer about a young boy who befriends an octopus that he found washed up on the beach one day, and they decide that they're going to travel to space together and explore some distant planets. Also, the octopus possesses an exceptionally long tongue that they can use to latch on to clouds, and that's actually what they use to propel themselves into space. They basically swing around on a bunch of clouds and you just fling yourself into the cosmos, pretty much. Yeah, this is definitely a weird game for sure. The best way that I can describe this game is that it's kind of like a 2D version of Super Mario Galaxy. A lot of this game revolves around exploring different planets, and a lot of it is like gravity-based too. And this game originally came out at a time when Super Mario Galaxy was still a relatively new game. Aether was originally released as a Flash game all the way back in 2008. It was published by Armor Games, and it was developed primarily by Tyler Glale. But the game itself was designed primarily by Edmund McMillen. And you may recognize Edmund McMillen as the lead designer of Super Meat Boy and The Binding of Isaac. Those are arguably his two most well-known games. But McMillen had also worked on a handful of other projects before he became well-known for Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac, some of which I do actually find particularly fascinating, but others I'm not too sure about covering because a lot of them just seem to be, I don't know, kind of being super edgy just for the sake of being super edgy. And given the content of some of his other projects, I'm not even sure if I could actually show them on YouTube or not. But this was one older project from Edmund McMillen that I had wanted to cover on the channel for a little while now. But again, this was one of those situations where I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to play it anymore because this is a Flash game, Flash doesn't exist, at least not anymore it doesn't, but thankfully we do have the Newgrounds player at our disposal, which means I can actually still play this game offline and show it to you guys. Also, I'm very surprised that this game is even still available on Newgrounds, cause this was also uploaded to Newgrounds in addition to Armor Games, and I was actually very surprised that I was able to find it again. Aether was not one of Edmund McMillen's more popular games, but that doesn't mean it didn't receive any views at all. Aether has been played over 1 million times on Newgrounds alone. I'm not entirely sure how many times it's been played on Armor Games, but I do know that this game did receive a bit of attention when it first came out. I know there were some game journalists outlets that covered this game when it did initially launch, because I think at this point Edmund McMillen was already starting to become a pretty well-known figure within the indie gaming scene. This was also the same year when he released the first prototype for Meat Boy, the Flash prototype specifically, and I know that the original Flash version of Meat Boy was pretty popular too. And long before this game came out, he had also co-developed another indie game way back in 2004 called Gish, and I think Gish was also met with some form of critical praise as well, and I do believe it has kind of become a bit of a cult classic since then. The point I'm trying to make is that McMillen had already made a bit of a name for himself by the time he released Aether, and Aether was also met with mostly positive reception when it first came out. I do believe this game does have pretty good ratings on Newgrounds as well. I think Aether's average rating on Newgrounds is actually like 4.6 out of 5. It's also one of the very rare games from Edmund McMillen that actually has an E rating on Newgrounds, which I was definitely surprised to see. Now, Aether is quite different from some of the other projects that Edmund McMillen had worked on before this. I mean, it's also very different from Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy, mostly in terms of tone, not necessarily in terms of art style, because the art style is actually quite reminiscent of Super Meat Boy in a way, albeit with significantly more pastel colors. But when you start playing this game, you will recognize McMillen's art style pretty quickly. This game was only developed in about 2 weeks, and as a result, it actually is a pretty short game, and I've actually already beat the entire game off screen, and I can already tell you that the game is not particularly challenging, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it wasn't meant to be challenging. It does kind of seem like this game was designed to be more of an experience than an actual game. According to Macmillan himself, this game was designed mostly around his childhood fears, and a lot of the emotional baggage that comes with that. The game is based heavily around a lot of the vulnerable emotions that Macmillan experienced as a child, namely feelings of isolation, loneliness, the fear of being rejected, you know, the kinds of emotions that I feel like we can all relate to, at least at some point in our lives. You know, those sorts of emotions are not felt exclusively by anyone in particular, they're felt mostly by, well, just everyone at some point. And that's actually what the premise of this game revolves around, because the boy that you are controlling in this game is lonely, or he feels lonely, and the reason why he's traveling to all these different planets is because he's trying to find someone that he can relate to. Which, it does sound pretty sad when I word it like that, but I had been meaning to show you guys this game for a little while now, because I do find the whole concept of this game pretty interesting, and the gameplay itself is actually kind of fun. You know, for a game that's so heavily themed around very real emotions that people experience at some form in their lives, yeah, the whole latching onto clouds mechanic and just kind of like flying through the air, it's actually a lot more fun than you would be led to believe. It's basically like a grappling hook that you can use whenever you want, and it's actually pretty damn neat. So with that being said, I am going to start the game here and we're just gonna start playing it. A story is told of a boy who was lonesome, who strayed a bit far from his home. As the daylight grew dimmer, he saw a faint glimmer, lost in the wake of sea foam. For the boy had a feeling that this monster was kneeling to offer his hand to a friend. The boy darted away, but then turned to stay, afraid of the message he'd send. He lowered his head, and the boy bustled up, looking proud atop his new steed. For the boy had a venture, he was bound for adventure, and this monster had planted the seed. Looking up to the stars, he thought to himself, imagine all the people up there. Could they all be as lonely, or am I one and only? Would the people on Earth really care? So our story unfolds, a boy and his pet, leaving his home without care or regret. Truly a tale that none will forget. Part of me does feel like this game might actually take place within the boy's imagination. I don't know, I kind of feel like this is maybe just a little too absurd to actually be happening to the boy in reality. I mean, this is a young boy we're talking about here, right? Like, you know, children are known for having pretty, overactive imaginations. So I mean, if anything, that kind of makes the game feel a little more real, actually. But anyway, the instructions. Explore the galaxy by swinging yourself into space, grab clouds and asteroids with your monster's tongue, and swing to start your ascent. Each planet has a puzzle. It's your job to find and solve that puzzle. The controls, WASD, move, up, down, left, right, and jump. Mouse aim, mouse click, shoot tongue, mouse click release to release tongue. Yeah, so let's get started here then. So, we start here on Earth, and Earth is looking pretty happy here. There's birds flying around, there's also a house over here on the side. Okay, that was weird, my controls were not working there for a moment. Yeah, so Earth is looking pretty damn happy right now. Unfortunately, he's not going to be looking too happy by the time we end the game. I'm not going to explain why, just for now, because I don't want to spoil it ahead of time. But yeah, you use WAS and D keys to move, and you'll notice immediately that this game definitely feels and plays a lot like Super Mario Galaxy, because you have these planets. Like, basically all the platforms in this game are in the form of planets, and you'll notice that you actually run around the circumference of the planet itself, and the whole world rotates along with you. Which again, this was still a fairly novel concept back in 2008, because Super Mario Galaxy had only been out for about a year by this point. So we don't want to spend our time on boring old Earth here. We want to actually ascend into the heavens here. So yeah, we left click on the clouds right here, and we can use the WAS and D keys to maneuver ourselves around in the air. We can actually swing ourselves around here, as you can see. We can make full rotations if we just, yeah, continuously move the WASD keys around or hit the WASD keys in a very specific motion. Like if we keep going counterclockwise, we can just do this like indefinitely. It's not exactly what we want to do though. This is the moon right here. Remember the moon for later, because we will actually be coming back to it. But for now, we have all these markers on the screen right here. And this is a pretty open-ended game, actually, because we can go to pretty much any planet that we so desire. Like, the game does not force us to go to any specific planet immediately. We can travel pretty much anywhere we want to, which is exactly what we're gonna do. So, I guess we can try and go to this green marker over here first. Yeah, so something that I do actually find pretty fascinating, you can also grapple onto these asteroids, but you can actually build up quite a bit of speed when you're traveling through space here. Like, you can build up a lot of forward momentum by, like, clinging onto an asteroid and then just flinging yourself towards a planet. When you get close to a planet, its gravity will pull you in, and it actually causes you to speed up even more, so it's like you can get a lot of freaking momentum doing that. So we land on this little moon right here. This guy says, "Don't hurt me!" It's a moon that is perpetually screaming in agony. And I guess all of the inhabitants are doing the exact same thing. Indeed. I don't think you can interact with this guy, though. I don't think there's really any way you can interact with these little guys right here. This guy will just continuously say, "Don't hurt me," or he'll just yell when you get close to him. So, yeah, there's not really anything else you can do with him, unfortunately. So this is Planet Dabasa. So, this planet actually has a very strong gravitational field. Well, it's not even a gravitational field, it's fog. Yeah, so there's some very dense fog that is surrounding this planet right here, and it's causing the gravity to become, very powerful. And there's a couple of boys trapped here who look, suspiciously like us. I'm stuck here because I'm bad. Is that so? Why do you look like me? Well, that's a good question. That's a good question, buddy boy, because I honestly don't know why. Maybe these are the people I'm trying to find so I can relate to. Maybe I can relate to them better if they look more like me. I don't know. That sounds almost sad the way I worded that, but I'm gonna blow this place up one day. Alright, making terrorist threats towards a planet. Not quite sure how I feel about that, but it's okay. You don't need to blow it up, because we actually do need to blow a few things up on this planet, actually, and I'm gonna show you what, right now. So in every single planet that you come across in this game, each planet has a single puzzle that you need to solve. Also, the fog itself has a face that looks like it's dead, which seems appropriate for this situation. Okay, so what we need to do here on this planet is that there are four tiny moons that are scattered around this planet right here, and they are actually the ones that are generating this dense fog. Actually, I believe there's one of them's up here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, this little moon right here. So, what we do in order to destroy these guys is that we actually have to grapple onto them, and then we just have to swing around them. Eventually, they'll begin to expand, and yeah, they'll just burst after that. They just completely explode. Yeah, so I mean, we do have to blow this planet up in some way, but more specifically, we have to blow up its moons, because its moons are the ones that are causing all the problems here. We're gonna try and see if we can make the boys escape. Okay? Gotta get rid of the dense fog so that the boys can just leave the planet somehow. I don't exactly know how they're gonna leave, because I mean, it's a planet, but there we go. And just swing around. Just swing around. Very nice indeed. Oh god, okay. Yeah, we can't slow down at any point either, because what's gonna happen is that if we slow down at any point, or we let go of the moon before it completely, gets to the point where it finally bursts, well, it's going to actually deflate. So, what we have to do is that we need to keep swinging around and make them expand until eventually they just blow up into tiny little pieces. Yeah, and you'll see that the planet here, Planet Dabasa, at least I think that's what its name is, because I already forgot, which is fantastic. But yeah, he's all happy now. There we go. We cleared him of the fog. We cleared him of his brain fog, I guess. Yeah, by destroying its moons, apparently. Yeah, you'll notice that the little boys that were here before, they're gone now. Where exactly have they gone? I have no clue. They literally just disappear when you complete that puzzle. But yeah, that's it for that first planet right there. So now what we do is that we grapple onto the clouds again, and we just go off to a different planet. Like, I guess we could go towards this yellow marker here. Because again, there's no correct way. Ooh. Jesus Christ, I'm experiencing brain damage in real time again. Okay, but in all seriousness though, there's no correct way to navigate this game. Because you can go just anywhere you want pretty much, and I would like to maybe go to this yellow marker next, so let's just do that. Let's go towards this yellow planet next, shall we? I mean, there's not really any other input that we have to make here. Because I believe if we get enough forward momentum, yeah, we can just start zooming towards some of the other planets here. That just looks like a manhole cover that's floating in space. I don't know why exactly that's there. There was also like a giant fish skeleton that I found when I was playing this off screen before. Just floating out in space. Absolutely no reason why it's there, but I mean, you know, it looks kinda cool, not to mention completely absurd, but again, I'm not really surprised, because I mean, this is an Edmund McMillen game after all, but this is Bibulon, or Bibulon. I don't freaking know how to pronounce that. I'm not good at words, okay? I've mentioned this before numerous times. Words are the things that cause me to experience actual brain damage. One day and I'll be great and show them all. Or one day I will be great. I don't know why I added an extra word into that. Yeah, so this guy himself is happy, but his ass is apparently depressed right now. I'll never amount to anything. They all think I'm dumb. Yeah, this guy's ass appears to be experiencing some form of pain and trauma right now. Yes, I made that sentence weird on purpose. Be quiet. I know what I did. Right, so what we gotta do here in this planet is that, we have to actually destroy more Muons. Yeah, there's at least 2 puzzles in this game that involve destroying the Muons that are orbiting the planets. This is one of them right here, if I'm not mistaken. We gotta try and land on it. I'll never go back home. Well, you're not gonna be able to because you're literally dead now, so deal with it. Yeah, so the gimmick of this world right here is that we need to find the Muons, or the satellites if you want to use the scientific term. You need to find all 4 satellites, I think there's 4, that are orbiting this particular planet. We have to actually crash them into the planet this time, and that's actually the whole puzzle, pretty much. But I mean, the challenge here is actually trying to find them, because I already forgot where they were. Oh, here's the second one. I hate him so much. No idea who he's referring to, but I don't know. Is he referring to the planet here? The planet is starting to become happier, actually. I don't know, maybe we're trying to get rid of, like, the planet's negative thoughts. Maybe that's what those moons are meant to, like, signify. Or maybe that's what they're meant to represent, is what I meant to say. Here we go. Oh, nice flip. Very cool. Personally, I think he's pretty cool. Yeah, it doesn't really make it clear who exactly they're referring to here. Just talking about some unnamed person. I'm assuming they're maybe talking about this planet right here. Oh, I also noticed that I think the planet has 2 different faces. Yeah, one that's just in constant agony of some sort. And the other side, he's just happy. And the other side also has very luscious lips for some reason. Alright, I gotta try and find this 3rd moon over here. Oh yeah, it's right up this way. Right this way. Oh my god, this guy looks grumpy as all hell. Okay, hang on a second. I gotta try... I can't... See, the weird thing is that I can't land on the side of these planets because of the fact that this is gravity-based. Otherwise, I just end up, like, falling off the moons here. Yeah, I meant to say moons, not planets, but here we go. I'll go home when he leaves. Alright, well, I guess we're gonna force you to just die, apparently. Oh, actually, that might have been all of them. Actually, was that all 4 of them? Oh, it might have been. Oh, maybe they're talking about this, like, slug creature or something. I don't know, were they referring to him? Well, I mean, I killed all of these people for you, so there you go. You don't need to worry about your haters anymore, because I murdered all of them. God, that sounds horrible, but, I mean, this is kind of meant to be an angsty game, a bit of an angsty game, so I guess it makes sense, in a way. In, like, some context it does. Right, so I think we are actually done with this planet now. So one thing you will notice is that whenever you solve a puzzle on a planet, the planet will flash, or more specifically, the screen will flash and that basically indicates that you have solved the puzzle. There we go, let's actually try and do that well this time. There we go, some random guy just floating in space over there that looked like some sort of torch. I don't know what in the world that was, but it doesn't matter, okay? We're just gonna move on for now. Move on with our lives. There's other, like, giant asteroids in the background that look incredibly happy. Everything has to have a face on it, because, I mean, it's an Edmund McMillen game. God, why am I having such a hard time pronouncing his name right now? Good lord. My lips don't work the way they used to. Okay, that's an even weirder sentence, actually. Never mind. I'm just gonna... What is this planet? I don't even remember. I don't know where we're going. God, the screen is just, like rotating so much. Okay, so... I guess if there's, like, maybe one tiny issue that I have with this, due to the fact that the camera seems to rotate so much throughout the course of gameplay here, I do kind of feel like it can potentially lead to motion sickness in some people. So, I don't know, maybe just be wary of that. What is this? This is Gravita. Okay, so I do know what the gimmick of this level is. I'm gonna jump over this guy's mouth for just a moment, because you can fall into his mouth, and that is where you are supposed to go. Sometimes my stomach hurts. I see. I'll be happy when I'm dead. Well, I mean, you look pretty happy when talking to me. I mean, he is smiling after all. You kind of look like you're missing a tooth there, but I mean, I don't know, you seem pretty damn happy to me. You're just kind of frolicking around. Got these little guys that are kind of like riding on your back as well. You know, just keeping you company. I don't know, you seem pretty well off to me, dude. I don't exactly know if I believe you or not. But I'm just gonna ignore that for now because I'm gonna climb into this guy's mouth, trying really hard not to make even more bizarre statements here. It's sad to be alone. Yeah, there's a little guy right here who actually fell into the mouth of this planet, and he's just isolated and lonely. Yeah, it's like he doesn't wanna even, like, attempt to try and go back up to the surface. Actually, where in the world did he go? At least no one can hurt me here. Well, it's not exactly a good way to live your life. I mean, you know, you can't just shield yourself from the world forever just because it's scary. I don't know, I kind of feel like being hurt by other people is just a part of life. But I think what matters the most is how exactly you react to those sorts of situations, because I feel like that really lets people know what kind of person you are. You know, I have been making an honest attempt in recent times to try and turn, you know, those sorts of negative situations into something positive. I realize that doesn't work for everyone, but I mean, that's just pretty much the wavelength that I personally operate on nowadays. Anyway, if you want to know how exactly to solve this puzzle, you have to actually grapple onto these crystals right here, and you have to make sure to do it without touching the ground. Yeah, so there's 8 crystals that are scattered inside the core of this planet right here, and you have to grapple onto all 8 of those crystals without letting go of them or touching the ground. Otherwise, you will basically break the chain and you have to do it all over again. But yeah, once you manage to cling onto those 8 crystals without touching the ground, then that's actually the puzzle solved. Like, that is literally the puzzle. For this particular world, anyway. So color has now been restored to this particular planet, which means we are just gonna leave now because there's nothing else for us to see here. Yeah, so let's just frick right off then and go to the next planet. I think the blue marker over there is showing us where Earth is, if I'm not mistaken. So I think where we would like to go next... Or actually, no, is this marker Earth? Okay, actually, I don't remember anymore. Can we go to this marker first just to make sure? Oh, Jesus. Okay, here we go. The freaking... Oh, wait, is that a spaceship? Oh, no, there's people in the spaceship that are flying... Oh, God, their spaceship's actually on fire, I think. Or is that just the thrusters? Is that, like, the engine? Maybe it is. I don't know. It looked like there were people that were just, like, falling into oblivion, never to be seen again. Okay, yeah, this is actually the Earth. You'll notice here that when we go back to the Earth after solving some of the puzzles, Earth has actually shrunk somewhat, and its facial expression is beginning to change. It definitely looks like it's worried, like the worst is yet to come. And, well, the worst is yet to come, actually, because it's... Again, I don't wanna, like, I don't want to spoil what exactly we're gonna end up doing to planet Earth. God, these physics are a little bit wonky, I feel. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil what exactly we end up doing to planet Earth at the end of the game, but it's gonna be spectacular, I can assure you. Or maybe it won't. I honestly don't know. But something is going to happen to the Earth at the very end of this game, and you're gonna see what happens fairly soon, actually. Google Chrome installer. You know what? All of you people need to just stay out of my life, alright? Holy crap, dude. Every single time I record a frigging video, Windows thinks that it's a good time to install like 9 million different applications, or like install updates for basically every application on my damn system here. What is this? Leave me alone. I don't believe it's possible to pause this game, just for the record. I don't think Aether has a pause button. It's not like it really matters anyway, because we are coming up to the final puzzle, actually. Oh, there we go. Look at that forward momentum. Yeah, we can just kind of tumble through the air now. Indeed, we're coming in for a landing here. Okay, so this planet right here is actually a water planet. This is Malaysis. Oh, Jesus. Okay, hang on a second. There we go. The octopus is back in its natural environment here. Yeah, there's just a little island that looks like a moon with a palm tree on it. Yeah, so we can swim around right here, as you can see. We can also dive underneath the water. There we go, we can dive. Okay, I guess we can't go underneath the moon here. Okay, this little moon has its own gravity, as you can see, its own gravitational field. Yeah, so we can dive into the water right here. There's a little fish right here that says, "You're nothing special." And that's not the only thing he says. He does say something else when we get to him. Oh my god, these physics, though. Okay, there's another thing that he says here. What is the other thing he says? Yeah, leave me alone. Okay, well, we are going to leave him alone in just a bit, because what we have to do on this planet is that you notice that we have these little, not even like fish creatures, but some sort of, I don't know, they kind of look like plankton almost. So we have to actually eat these little plankton-like creatures right here, and that's all we have to do for this puzzle, actually. So then, as you can see, we restore color to this planet right here. We don't restore color to the fish, so he's just gonna remain grumpy for the remainder of his existence. Yeah, he's just gonna stay grumpy for the remainder of his existence. So you know what? Frick him, dude. We don't need his sort of negative energy in our lives, okay? So we can just get out of here then. Yeah, it also causes the moon on, or like the little like moon island, I guess you could call it. Yeah, that also becomes yellow, so there is color that does get restored inside the island as well, and I think the palm tree too. Yeah, so effectively what we're trying to do is that we're trying to restore color to the entire galaxy here, because apparently this galaxy is only made up of 5 planets and a variety of asteroids. So what we have to do now, because those are all of the puzzles in the game, just for the record, like we basically have beaten the game now, guys. So there's only one marker left on the screen here, as you can see. So whenever we do clear a planet's puzzle, the marker for that planet will disappear. So that's one way that the game lets you know, like, which puzzles you've already solved, pretty much. Yeah, those guys' space station, or whatever the frick, their rocket ship, I think it's just malfunctioning completely. Okay, well, there we go. Yeah, we blew up the Earth, guys. There we go. I mean, I don't know, maybe that other boy that said, "I'm gonna blow up this place," maybe that was actually, like, our inner thoughts. Maybe the reason why those boys looked like us is because they literally were us. Maybe that was, like, the boy's inner thoughts? Like, I'm gonna blow up the Earth one day, and I mean, well, he did. You got what you wished for, my dude. You shrunk the Earth down to a tiny little pea, basically, and you just completely obliterated it with your octopus friend. Indeed, your partner in crime, as it were. Yeah, so that's basically what we have to do in order to finish the game. After we complete all 4 puzzles in the game, we head back to Earth, and we basically destroy the Earth, and we go live on the moon with our octopus friend. As the boy delved in deeper, his imagination went wild, and the grasp of reality was left from this child. The impact he caused broke his tie to the Earth, but his fears and his worries had caused a rebirth. Being lost in his dream, his imagination expanded, and with the aid of the beast he commanded, this boy would live on in the memories of past, and the boy would find hope in a future he'd cast. To be continued. I mean, Edmund Macmillan never made a second Aether game. This is the only game in this particular series, which I mean, it didn't even become a series at all. Yeah, there never was an Aether 2 that was made, so I don't exactly know, what exactly happened to that, because it kind of seemed like they were planning on making some sort of sequel to this game, but it never came to fruition, because they never ended up making another Aether game. Now, one thing that I did find kind of interesting, though, is that apparently the developers of this game did have plans to possibly try and bring the game to the Wii. Apparently, Edmund McMillen wanted to actually see Aether get ported to the Wii, more specifically, have it released on the WiiWare, which, I mean, doesn't exist anymore, so even if Aether did get released on that platform, I don't think there would be any way to purchase it anymore. But Aether never ended up getting released on WiiWare, so those plans clearly fell through for one reason or another. And I don't know, I guess maybe Edmund McMillen was going to make a follow-up to this game at some point, because at the end of the game it says to be continued, but I mean, there was no Aether 2. There never was an Aether 2 that was made, so I'm not entirely sure what happened to that either. But yeah, these are just the credits for the game. You can just read all the credits for yourself by pausing the video. Yeah, Armor Games is the studio that sponsored this game, or in other words, they're the ones who published it. Not the first time I've covered an Armor Games published title on my channel. Because, I mean, I actually think Solus 128 was also published by Armor Games, if I remember correctly. You might have noticed as well, by the way, that there is a little button right here on the title screen that says download. It says downloadable version will run faster than the browser version. So, there was apparently a standalone version of Aether that you could also download as well, if you were having problems trying to run the game in Flash. Because, I mean, the only way you would have been able to play this back in 2008 was through your browser. But I guess they also made a standalone version of Aether, which I'm not sure you can even download anymore. And because I am playing this through the Newgrounds player, this button doesn't actually work at all. It's just completely broken. I think the Play More Games button doesn't work either. Yeah, because it's probably trying to link to an actual URL, and yeah, because I'm playing this offline, it just doesn't work at all. And just for the record, you cannot play Aether within Newgrounds itself. You actually need to install the Newgrounds player and play it through that. That's the only way you can actually play Aether. Weirdly enough, though, the original prototype of Meat Boy was brought over to Ruffle, so you can still play that within your browser. I don't know, it kind of seems like Newgrounds is very selective as to which games they decide to port to Ruffle. It's kind of weird. It's like some games you can still play within Newgrounds itself because they are being emulated through Ruffle, but other games like this one, you have to get the Newgrounds player, so I don't know, I guess maybe Newgrounds are just like, preserving the most important games on their site, which I guess would make sense, because there was another Flash game I played from Newgrounds about a month ago called Toss the Turtle. That game was also brought over to Ruffle, so I was able to just play it within Newgrounds itself, within my browser. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I just thought that was kind of strange. But yeah, that's Aether, guys. That's the entire game. Like I said, it's a very short game. I do kind of feel like this was meant to be more of an experience than an actual, like, proper game. And I mean, the game's description on Newgrounds even describes it as an art game, which I think pretty much tells you everything you need to know about it right then and there. So yeah, this was just a really old project from Edmund McMillen that I did want to show off to you guys for a little while, mostly because it was just very different, like, tonally and stylistically from anything else that McMillen had worked on. It's definitely a far cry from the grotesque themes and religious overtones of The Binding of Isaac, and also the brutal-as-hell platforming action of Super Meat Boy. But I still thought it was kinda neat, and it was a fairly short game too, so I felt like I could just do a quick video on this just to get it out on the channel. I feel like a lot of the fun that you can find in this game comes less from solving puzzles, but more so from, like, using your tongue to grapple onto clouds and just, like, flinging yourself around, because your tongue essentially acts as a grappling hook in this game. And grappling hook mechanics are always fun to mess around with in games, because you just fling yourself everywhere, dude. Like, you have so much control over where it goes to, you can just swing yourself around. It's probably why people love the Spider-Man games so much, because, I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's like the same sort of mechanic, so Yeah, I definitely had a lot more fun doing that in this game than solving the actual puzzles, because I mean, the puzzles themselves are not really that much of a challenge. Again, I kind of feel like they weren't meant to be, though. It does kind of feel like Edmund McMillen and Tyler Glale designed this game to be more of like an experience of sorts. And I mean, the game definitely revolves around, you know, childhood emotions that I feel like we can all relate to, because I feel like we have all experienced those sorts of emotions at some point in our lives, but I mean, I'm 24 years old now, man, and I've mostly moved past those sorts of emotions now. Because, I mean, there did come a time when I kind of just stopped caring about this sort of stuff. And what I mean by that is that I pretty much stopped caring a long time ago about whether or not people, you know, would accept me. Because, I mean, I definitely experienced these sorts of emotions when I was younger as well. And I mentioned this before in older videos, but if you guys didn't know already, I also have Asperger's syndrome. Or in other words, I am autistic, and I've never been afraid to tell that to other people. I've always been very open about that. I've always been very open about my autism diagnosis because it is something that I do want people to know, so that way they understand why I behave a little erratically at times. But because of the fact that I am autistic, I am also subjected to a lot more class-based discrimination than normal people typically do. And there was a point in time when I was a lot more self-conscious about that, where I wasn't as comfortable telling people that I had autism, because it was like, well, it was a matter of whether or not they would accept the fact that I was autistic. Again, it was like the fear of being rejected, but due to the fact that I was disabled, that feeling was amplified by like a factor of 10 for me. But as I got older, I realized that there are some people who are just going to shit all over you for basically no reason, like just because they can. You know, there are some people out there who are just going to constantly try and put you down just because it makes them feel good. Like, it really doesn't matter who you are, like, people are gonna find some reason to hate you. But again, it's like I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm one of those people who likes to at least try and turn a negative situation into something positive, so I do feel like it is important for you to ultimately have the last laugh, you know what I mean? I know there's a lot of people who are going to hate me just by virtue of me being autistic, and you know what? I don't have a problem with that anymore. It's not really something that I mind as much as I used to. So I'm not gonna lie, I definitely experienced those sorts of emotions that are depicted in this game as well, like those feelings of not being able to relate to other people, the fear of being rejected, the isolation because of the fact that I feel like I have no one that I can relate to because they're not autistic like I am. Like, you know, so many people that I was around when I was in school, they were basically all neurotypical. Or in other words, they were just normal people, and I really envied them for being normal. But you know, I was still a child back then, and I feel like it was normal for me to experience those sorts of emotions at the time. I don't really relate to those emotions anymore because I am, you know, like I said, I'm 24 years old now, and I've come to accept the fact that I am autistic. It's something that I have chosen to embrace rather than suppress. And as I've gotten older, I've just come to realize that people are gonna be assholes, man. Like, you just gotta try your best to ignore it. There's just some people who are gonna hate on you just because they can and because it makes them feel better about themselves. You can't give them the last laugh, okay? You gotta just try your best to ignore them because you're not gonna be able to change those people's minds. So it's just like, you know, screw them. Just forget about them and move on with your life, you know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know how exactly I got onto that tangent, but yeah, the point being, I still really like this game for what it is. I do kind of like the gameplay aspect more than the actual, like... I enjoy the grappling hook aspect more than the actual puzzles, because the puzzles are definitely, a bit too easy for my liking. But the fact that you can grapple onto clouds and just kind of, like, fling yourself into space and across space, you can even grapple onto the asteroids, yeah, that will never not be fun. Every game just needs to have grapple hook mechanics, okay? Otherwise it's not a real video game. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about Aether. It's a game that is equal parts silly and strange, and maybe just a little bit angsty as well, but I definitely relate to some of the emotions that this little boy we were controlling was feeling. I don't know if maybe the octopus was meant to be like his imaginary friend or something. You know, like an imaginary friend that he made up himself to try and, like, distract himself from the fact that he's lonely and isolated. God, I'm just making this game sound even more sad by the minute, and you know what? I don't really like it, dude. I don't like it. I don't like feeling those kinds of emotions, okay? Yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys this because it's just so different from anything that Edmund Macmillan had worked on that I didn't really want to pass up the opportunity to show you guys this game, so there you go. That's Aether. If you want to play it, the link's in the description, but just keep in mind that you're gonna need to download the Newgrounds player first before you can play this, because unfortunately, the only way you can play this game is offline. You can't play it through Newgrounds itself anymore. But the Newgrounds player is not that difficult to set up, but I'll let you go and figure that out for yourself. Anyway, thanks as always for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video I make. Later!